The dream took place in a mysterious location that was sort of like a World's Fair, which had a large hospital and meeting areas, and maybe a shopping mall and an arcade area. And I was there. I wasn't with a group. I was by myself almost the entire thing. And but there were people there who seemed to know me and like me, and they were friendly to me. I remember in the mall area, there was a lot of people moving about different places, often on railings, on large stairwells that went into deep voids. Occasionally people would just jump these past these large stairwells, and but they would be okay. They would land on the ground a few stories down, all right, and keep going. At one time we got a ride in a jet, and the jet had a hard time lifting out of the airport. It lifted in a real dramatic way. And I remember for some reason the pilot's hand touched my hand while we were lifting up, because the cabin was pretty small and we were in a small area. And for some reason, it's not like he's holding my hand, but I could feel his touching me as we were taking off. And we did a really dramatic maneuver to get into the air around some other jets because it was crowded and the pilot was really young. And we ended up going through the arcade area of the midway area of the fair there. And it looks like we didn't make it, like the plane was going to. It's crashed. And I remember thinking in the dream, I'm going to remember because it was in this plane that crashed at like Disney World. And but it didn't happen. Meanwhile, I was at the hotel near some conference rooms where we were involved, and I found outside my room a package, and it was actually two packages. And this packages I knew was something that I had found a long time ago and had tried to return to the owner. I had found something, and I put it and mailed it off to the owner and said, I hope this gets a hold of you. And they sent something back to me. And on the outside of the package, it had some writing. The writing said they were excited to, they'd been waiting a long time to get to me, and they were excited for me to see this. And that it was because of the kindness of returning the package. And I knew that there was something in there I had returned, but I couldn't remember what it was. And I put it aside to look at it later. Then as I was going about, I met some people, and I told them about it, and they knew about the package, and they knew what was in it, and they said, "Oh, just wait and see, and when you get back." And I should say it's really small. It's a couple packages, one of them about the size of a book, and the other one about the size of a cell phone almost. Anyway, I never did see what was inside the package. I kept trying to get back, or thinking that I would get back to it, but I never get it back in time. And I saw Ed Grissom. Ed Grissom was there videotaping stuff like he was working, and he was using this camera that was very small. And Ed was very, very thin. He was completely lean. And I talked to him, and I said, "Ed, you've lost so much weight. Is everything okay? Because you look fantastic." He says, "Well, I haven't really been in the best health." That's about all I remember from Ed. But it was a long, complex dream that just went on. And it all occurred within a very small amount of time between me waking up at 5:30 and waking up again at 7. Extremely complex, lots of stuff. The hospital. I know there's some more details that are slipping out of my mind. But there was a girl there who was nice to me and gave me a hit. She knew I needed to get stoned, and she made a little joke about it, that like everyone knew that we get high, but they're trying to keep it on the lowdown. And when she said, "Oh, you can have one hit," another guy came up and he had one in his hand. He was waiting to get me high also, which was nice. And then she gave me a hit of something else, and this vape pen was shaped like the letter L. And it was something else. It was like PDT or PMT or something. And as soon as I took a hit off this, I got a little bit of psychedelic rush. And they came over and said, "Oh, you took too much. And I took just a tiny, tiny little hit. And I didn't know how much to take, but they freaked out that I'd taken too much. So much so somebody said they might have to take me to the emergency room. However, I didn't feel bad. I just felt high, and at one point I had a kind of explosion of colors when I first hit it, which I guess was the dream version of a psychedelic trip. So, if I remember more, I'll certainly tell you. There were giant warthog-like creatures that were trying to get to people. When we saw them coming, we'd hide. At one point, a van full of them pulled up, and they got out, and the humans I was with all took off running. And we ran into this building. And I remember having a hard time getting into the building, getting past people, and getting up and around, and it's very difficult. And I'm going to a bathroom, and this bathroom had a couple of bathtubs with curtains around them. And one of my friends was in one of the bathtubs. I just laid down, and so I was doing that same thing. And I was laying real quietly. And the warthogs came in, and they were looking around. And I don't think they saw my friend, but they ended up seeing me. I may have moved or something. And they ripped at the curtains, and the warthog left, I guess, to get friends to come help him. And then a lady appeared, and she said, "Follow me, traveler," or something like that. And she put her hands against the wall over the tub, and it kind of became soft and crumbly, and then opened up into this hole. And I could see that the hole was sealing as it was opening, so it's almost trying to close the whole time it was being opened. And she shoved her way through the wall into a void in the building, and I did the same thing too. And the void was dark and gray and dusty, but I was able to crawl from the bathtub, and at that point just be totally safe from the warthog things that were after people. They were kind of like police, and it's like the group I was with were stoners, and they were all naturally afraid of the police. The warthog existed in this environment. They weren't chasing most of the people who were there at the World's Fair, but they were chasing ne'er-do-wells, and I guess I was with the stoners.